gonna go insane, you're gonna be disgusted, you're gonna laugh away until your gut's busted. Yeah, yeah. Better hold on to your brain, better grab your ribs. Dread-Libs.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Dread-Libs. I'm Dev Soloway.
I'm Zach Ellenberger.
I am the unholy corpse child, Thomas Stewart.
And I'm Onyx Brightwing.
And this is a show where four horror writers turn silly ideas into thrilling tales of terror. All right, so how's everybody's week going so far?
I kind of did a little bit too much catnip, so...
Oh, okay. Got you definitely need the shades and the
hats. Yeah.
I went on vacation. That's what you told me.
Vacation from life.
I lied.
I hear it's not very hard to get catnip in Vegas, among other things. And today, for me, today is going to be a chore because there's some kind of reckoning going on outside. I don't really know what the deal is, but whatever it is, God's not happy. My poor hellhound has been just barking away nonstop because she likes to talk shit to God, and this is a perfect example of it. So. Yeah, it sucks too because like I moved down to the Southwest because it's hot and I was like, hell, it's what I'm used to. But nobody told me there would be monsoons, especially because I'm dreadfully allergic to water. So it's a nightmare. How about you, Zach? How's your week going?
You know what? It's going better. My adult legs have finally grown back, so I can start getting back on my adventures and going places. I'm training to take a big adventure to the other side of the world to visit this land of adventure that has this ginormous mouse with big ears that I'm going to take my goblins to.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
The Langolier?
I'm do the fatherly training to get into that D world place, that D land.
Yeah. Yeah, would love to go see Steamboat Willie. It's public domain. We can use it anytime.
I don't know. You said hello.
How about you, Unholy Corpse Child? How you doing?
Yes, well, let's see. Other than being lied to by the kitty, I have to buy a leash for that one.
What?
Yeah, I gotta keep you on a leash now because you won't be honest with me with where you're going. In any case, though, aside from that, I managed to recoup at least 5 of the 7,000 bones Belial owes me. Unfortunately, Asmodeus has now gone into debt with me for 13,000.
Robin Peter to pay ball.
Yeah, you take 2 steps forward, 1 step back. It's, that's how it goes.
Well, now, here's the thing. Asmodeus is usually good about paying his debts.
That's good at least.
And I've got a signet ring from St. Michael. So,
nice.
if he tries to get out of line with me, I'll just simply force him against his will. Good old trick with the words of King Solomon.
Yeah.
God bless that son of a bitch.
All right. So today's theme is going to be the Tooth Fairy. This is one we talked about a while ago. I think Onyx was the one who brought it up. But yeah, the twist I'm thinking of, because of course there has to be a twist. We sort of got off on the subject about that one terrible movie where the Tooth Fairy was played by Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson. So we're going to take it one step further. The entire cast of this story is going to be famous wrestlers.
Oh boy.
Yep. Not just Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, all of them.
I think I can pull. This is coming from a little bit of background in watching the good old dub whatever letter you want to follow after that, years behind it. It's been a while, but I think I can polish off the cobwebs.
Yeah, it's been a long time since I've watched wrestling, but I all the big ones through cultural osmosis, like Hulk Hogan, Steve Austin, The Big Show, John Cena, that sort of thing.
The Rock.
Everybody loves Cena. He could be our main character. I don't know.
The Undertaker.
Oh yeah, the Undertaker. I remember him. Yeah, fun stuff. If we're gonna go with a horror film, actually, that might be a good place to start.
Well, I was going to say, it's funny that we kind of throw the wrestler angle into that because there are so many, because like right after the 2000s, like the turn of the millennium, the WWE started producing their movies and they were doing a lot of horror movies.
Okay.
Specifically really bad ones. Like there was one with Kane.
See No Evil.
See No Evil. There's so many of them. They just started like throwing out that like people don't even like recognize.
Well, even before that though, Zach, there were a lot of them trying to copy Undertaker's like dark and edgy gimmicks.
Oh,
like
yeah.
we had the Brood, we had the Brood, and even after we had the Boogeyman, and my favorite.
Isn't that one guy who carries a lantern out? He's kind of copying Undertaker's style a little bit.
You're talking about the Fiend, Bray Wyatt, who died.
Bray Wyatt. That's who it was.
The last fucking good person in WWE since the 90s.
It's clear that Thomas is the more versed person in wrestling, so we're going to follow his pattern when it comes to references and everything.
Yeah.
I'll guide you into hell. We'll have a time doing it.
No, wrestling is awesome. I here in Arizona, there's a lot of kind of crossing between like we have a lot of influence from Mexico, and so luchadors are like a big thing here too. So yeah, like wrestling is awesome. Like I don't know, it's fun.
Me, because a good friend of mine that I grew up with from like grade school ended up starting his own wrestling company out of Pittsburgh, which is called Enjoy Wrestling. If you've never heard of it, sorry, small plug. But it's actually like they've been doing.
Oh yeah, small time wrestling is fun.
Yeah.
Yeah. So my stepdad actually does some announcing for wrestling shows in town. But so who do we want? Like, I feel like the Tooth Fairy is kind of a high concept thing, where it can be in a lot of cases, like in other media I've seen it explored. It's never been particularly low concept. It's always like there's a team of fairies and they have this whole city they live in. They collect the teeth because it collects childhood memories, and there's like all this world building in it. So are we going to want to try and skirt around that, or we want to lean into it, or?
I don't think we need to, because the Tooth Fairy, deriving from ancient lore, the Tooth Fairy is a form of fae. And of course, the whole thing of leaving money behind, I think, was a more modern interpretation, because originally it's just a fae. And the whole leaving teeth behind was more of a way to try and ward them off or appease them, rather than trying to do it for any sort of reward. Onyx, you are free to fact check me on that, as I know you would actually be just
Jack, you look like you've had something to say for a while now.
Yeah, if there's anything Onyx wants to add before I do.
I'm just going to agree with that.
This episode's going to just us be poking at Onyx the whole time.
Leave my catnip brain alone.
I got a bit of the catnip brain too, but that all aside.
Allow me to juxtapose your ancient lore of the Tooth Fairy with the ancient lore of Dwayne Johnson's 2010 film, The Tooth Fairy.
Oh boy, here we go.
Actually, the story and lore behind this one was a bad deed on the part of a tough minor league hockey player results in an unusual sentence. He must serve 1 week as a real-life Tooth Fairy.
Oh, so it's like a punishment. It's like a job you do in prison, kind of.
Mighty Ducks, like Gordon Bombay, and was like, "Listen, you just got busted for drunk driving. You have to go stand in as Tooth Fairy for some rich little snob for a week instead of raise the Olympic team that would be the Mighty Ducks."
It's funny too because unlike Emilio Estevez, people actually saw Dwayne Johnson after that movie.
I feel like that's still kind of high concept though. Like it posits a world in which there are magical punishment for crimes, and that punishment is that you have to be a tooth fairy, and that implies some kind of larger system. So it's always really high complex or high concept. That's the word I'm looking for.
There gotta be a way to marry those two ideas: the ancient with
the ancient plus the. I mean that we could also have it to be where maybe the Tooth Fairy Association Council or whatever sees wrestling and thinks it's real, and they're like, "Oh my God, these guys can't be doing this. They need to be punished and have a year of service as the Tooth Fairies."
Well, they generally don't trust people, and they're very mischievous. And they look at people if they go into their territory and their boundaries. It's a war if they're not invited, and if they don't treat them well. So
there's there is an element of ironic punishment there. Maybe there's a wrestler who is the Tooth Fairy, like for real, but like a fae. Oh, Thomas, you got an idea? Okay, you can cut in anytime.
Okay, so something she said. I'm getting this idea from Space Jam. I'm just gonna put that out there. I'm getting this idea from Space Jam. What if? What if? This whole thing turns into like the fairy court. So what if there was this wrestling arena that was built in Fae territory? Because sort of like the old graveyard stereotype, but instead it's like in a place where the Fae used to congregate, right? What if they did that, and the Fae come in and realize, what the fuck are these assholes doing on our territory? And so maybe instead of waging war or straight up trying to massacre them, they instead try to challenge them for that land. So they basically one giant ass WrestleMania tournament to fucking like a battle for the land. But it's all
very high concept.
You're gonna have Titania and Oberon that fighting WWF.
Well, remember, the whole cast is wrestlers, so the fairies are also played by wrestlers.
Oh, yeah.
Well, no, I had another idea though. Why instead of why make the fairies wrestlers when instead of just doing fairies versus wrestlers? And one of the stipulations, seeing as how wrestling is fake, is that the fairies cannot use magic.
Oh, okay.
Okay. See, what the idea that I had and kind of running with that is not so much fairies versus wrestlers, but the fays are wrestlers, and they need to have this Royal Rumble tournament. There's the position of the Tooth Fairy that's highly coveted, and all of the fae want to ascend to the role of the Tooth Fairy. So the latest Tooth Fairy has died, and now they have to have a Royal Rumble tournament of all the fays who want to be the next Tooth Fairy, and they're all played by wrestlers. And they have
not a bad concept. The only thing is the former idea. I just feel like there'd be a lot more tension because these are people actually fighting for their lives as well.
There would. However, remember the challenge. The entire cast has to be. You are 100% free to write that short story. I would read it, but for the challenge, the entire cast has to be wrestlers.
Fine, I'm gonna be China. Just saying.
Roided Cena.
That makes you Triple H, Tom.
So okay. I love the idea of a Fey territory Royal Rumble. I think that is definitely where this needs to end up. I really enjoy that. So I think we have enough kind of a structure to where we could introduce an object. How are you guys feeling about that?
Well, okay, now hold on.
Oh
With this
boy.
concept, where would the horror be introduced, seeing as how we are just making these all fairies instead? Or what if so they're all trying to battle for the title of Tooth Fairy. But what if instead of them already being fey creatures, they are fighting to the death to be cut to ascend to fairyhood?
Okay, all right, okay.
Let me throw this on you real quick. Yes to all of that. And in going along with the WWE stuff, there was a Stone Cold movie a couple years ago called I'm going to pause real quick and look this up because this is exactly what I'm thinking of. It's a battle royale style movie where they're taken to an island. They're all criminals and they have to kill each other down to the last man. And you take that idea as like the last man becomes Tooth Fairy. So like Hunger Games style.
Oh yeah. Okay.
These days are taken to an island. The last man standing to the death is the Tooth Fairy.
Right. So like that, but also there's an announcer observing.
JR has to be the announcer.
We're talking about the side of this man. Oh God, Stone Cold Stunner on.
You mentioned Steve Austin, and that reminded me that like we came up with the concept. We don't have a cast yet. I think Stone Cold Steve Austin should be on it though for sure.
And small
final boss should be the Undertaker.
The movie I was thinking of. So
okay.
Dem style with fairies. That's bringing the wrestling right back into it, dude.
Right, there you go. And then also, I think that. Sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just saying final boss should be the Undertaker. And Taker should basically be fighting like really dirty. Like he needs to be the main villain, obviously.
100%.
Yeah, okay, the main antagonist. And then we would have our protagonist be what, Dwayne The Rock Johnson or
Stone Cold.
Stone Cold? What about, let me hit you with this. Hulk Hogan.
No, anybody but him.
He's the lackey of the Undertaker.
He's the okay, interesting. All right, I'd love to get like a tag team match in there where it's like Hogan and the Undertaker fighting against some other people or something like that. That's the thing. We don't have
that. If we're gonna have that, it needs to be paired with either Randy Savage or Ric Flair.
Well, so real quick, I'm thinking like obviously we're gonna bring a horror angle to this, and maybe like I'm thinking like horror dark fantasy style adventure. Like you have your protagonist who's like Stone Cold, he's like your anti-hero, kind of a chip on the shoulder. The Tooth Fairy or like his fairy godparent is The Rock, who's guiding him through this tournament, who he's been thrown into.
Because he's been in it before.
That Lemmy Winks adventure where he's like, you're going to be visited by three other helpful spirits that'll help you along the way of your adventure. And that's like Randy Savage, Ultimate Warrior, and fucking
right. Okay, the Honky Tonk Man. Yeah.
Ultimate Warrior, nice. Yes. Although instead of The Rock, though, can we replace that with Vince McMahon? Because that would be funny.
Vince McMahon should be the antagonist. If we're going to do, like, there are few people on earth who are more evil than that man. If we're bringing him in, he's a villain.
Just because of his connection with Steve Austin, I feel like he should just be the godmother.
Well, yeah, but he's like, okay, well, number one, The Rock was the Tooth Fairy in the movie, so that kind of just marries that. But if Vince McMahon, like,
we could have it to where Dwayne The Rock Johnson's main character, Vince McMahon, is his fairy godmother. But if we're gonna do that, if we're gonna go that direction, I want Vince to like stab him in the back at some point or something. Okay. Now, I will say for the horror element, I think this will be easier to pull off than we think because if they're allowed to fight dirty, then that means they're allowed to sabotage each other in one way or another. They could go so far as killing their opposition. So the horror element could come outside of the fights, and then the fights happen and they're like regular wrestling fights.
Well, no, because the fights themselves are supposed to be to the death.
Yeah. Well,
Right, yeah.
If we take that, if we kind of take that Royal Rumble / Hunger Games angle to it, they'll have these weapons and contraptions and these. And then this
Hunger Games, yeah.
What if we did it like Rob Zombie's 31?
I haven't seen that film.
Yeah, I did not see that.
Me either.
I love Rob Zombie though. Maybe Rob Zombie is the announcer.
Okay.
No, he's not. He's not a wrestler.
Basically, they have to kill a whole bunch of clowns.
No, Dink and Doink, clown wrestlers. I don't know if you guys are old enough to remember.
I got it. Okay, but also, Insane Clown Posse are actually wrestlers. Like for real, they are. They were on WWE for a long time. Yeah.
Okay.
Side note, side note, if you ever get the chance, read Violent J's autobiography. You will not regret it. It's one of the funniest books I've ever read in my life. Anyway, it's called Behind the Paint. I'm serious. Read it. The audiobook's free on YouTube. Anyway, I think we should bring in an object because if it's like a Royal Rumble, but also kind of a battle royale the way Hunger Games was, they're fighting to the death, sure, but if you can also kill your competition before the match even starts, I think that's a way you could do it as well. I think it's time for an object though.
The killer. Mankind should be the assassin.
I really want to get Gold Dust in there somewhere.
Gold Dust.
I want to get Gold Dust in there somewhere because he's a complete fucking basket case. Like he's insane for real in real life. So like I want not kidding. So like I want to get him in there somewhere.
Yeah. All right. So let's do this first object. But yeah, definitely like there's a battleground where they got to get to, but there can also be side deaths because Royal Rumbles had 30-some wrestlers.
Yeah.
To that degree, you're thinking 30-some wrestlers in a small arena area.
Right. Yeah. I think our first one, the way like the cornucopia is done in the Hunger Games, where it's just like everybody's let loose and then like half of them die. So, all right, I'm gonna pull up the prize wheel though, because we've been putting it off long enough. So
it's been going good.
Yeah. Okay, I'm glad.
Onyx, you need some more catnip?
I might.
I've got plenty. Actually, hold on.
A little bit of the goat's milk to wake you.
There, I just added catnip to the picker wheel. So now... All right, I'm gonna spin it. Watch us get catnip on the first one. No. A baseball pitching machine. Oh, that's not too hard.
Oh.
You just change the speed of that, and it put like a cannonball in it instead, and boom, you've just gone like straight through somebody.
So I feel like my first knee-jerk reaction is like that is a weapon that's left for one of these guys out on the battleground somewhere.
What do you got, Thomas?
I was going to say, to expand on that, rather than just having it as an equipable weapon, what if there's like several of these things like set up around the designated arena of the first match, and they're just like shooting projectiles of some sort onto the fighters, and their fighters dodge it while trying to also kill each other.
Sure, it's.
I think the first instinct is definitely, like you said, Zach, to make it a weapon, but I'm not sure. Like, I feel like there's more we could do with that. Because, like, for example, I keep coming back to the Hunger Games, but there's ways like sponsors can send in supplies to their, various whatever district champions. baseball pitching machine with weapons or tools of sabotage, perhaps. They just fling it into the ring, or perhaps somebody uses a baseball pitching machine as a way to sabotage somebody.
I still think it's better to have them as like a turret.
I mean, we could do both.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I think we could have it. Oh, okay. We could have it as both. So you have your basic baseball pitching machine set up as turrets around the battleground while people are while a technical match is going. I don't know. Set it up as like turrets around the battleground, but there can also be a big ass like Gatling gun of which is like a rigged baseball machine turned machine gun of like explosive balls being shot out that someone can find and pick up. So since we're trying to get the story off, like Steve Austin's our protagonist, and that might be the first thing he comes across, and then comes down fairy godfather Vince McMahon, right? That's what we're doing.
Yeah. Well, I think if we stick with Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson and make Steve Austin a villain here, I think it would be interesting because Steve Austin's from Texas. People from Texas know guns. He would know how to mod a baseball pitching machine into a gun, right? So maybe that's like the first, after the Royal Rumble, there's like a battle where, they find each other in the woods, and Steve Austin's trying to kill Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson with this modded pitching machine.
I would have preferred, though. Honestly, I prefer Austin being the face in this one. And maybe.
All right, well, then he mods it and he kills somebody with it.
That's what I'm thinking. So if Steve Austin's our main character, he comes across one of those turrets and busts it up, mods it, and then blows Dwayne Johnson to bits.
All right, there we go. Yeah, I dig it.
Man comes down. Hey there, Steve. You just made your first kill, brother. Well, great. Congratulations on you. Now you got to make your way to the arena.
maybe Vince McMahon is kind of like his Haymitch too, where Steve Austin can mod a baseball pitching machine as much as he wants. He still needs maybe gunpowder or something, and Fairy Vince McMahon comes in and is like, hey, I know where you can find a crate full of gunpowder or something.
He's also he's good. He helps Steve Austin, but he's also he's helping him to lead him to a certain to his own gain.
Yeah, maybe he's putting him into really brutal fights on purpose for the spectacle of the show, kind of like how real Vince McMahon does. Just abuses these people for the spectacle. So,
okay, now I've actually been thinking about that.
Okay.
What if this whole novelty of being Tooth Fairy ends up being like some sort of eternal bondage?
Okay.
Realize that
when they win, they basically sign their souls away to become the Tooth Fairy, but Tooth Fairy isn't all as cracked up as it ain't as cracked up as it is. All it's cracked up to be. Damn.
Maybe it's an eternal bond with Vince McMahon, and then after you win as the Tooth Fairy, he owns your soul.
So I'm kind of I'm kind of going in two directions right now. Actually, I'm thinking with and going along with that, I'm wondering is Vince McMahon the current Tooth Fairy who's on his way out, and he keeps appearing suddenly to weirdly help Steve Austin, and he's like, "Why are you helping me? I thought you need to remain neutral or something." Or is he like a fairy god kind of is he a guide for him?
I mean, I like the idea of having it backstabbed where right. The Tooth Fairy is a position that requires signing your soul off, and the person you're signing it off to is Vince McMahon, but he's A, not going to tell anybody that, and B, for this entire movie he's wearing a tutu. I insist.
Style tutu in that movie.
Something you brought up with that, Zach. What if the only way to get out is for someone else to actually take your place.
Yes.
Right. Okay.
That's where my mind was going. Absolutely.
So that's why he really wants, and he sees the potential in Austin. So that's why he's trying to
Right.
help.
Right. He could put his chips behind anybody, but he decides to do it behind Stone Cold Steve Austin. Okay. All right.
Well,
So
that would also make him dark face, so he would play really super dirty.
good.
Like
It would
Vince
not be
McMahon.
nice.
Yeah. The guy has never been nice. So
Montreal Crew Top.
yeah. Can you tell it? Can you tell I hate him? I really hate the guy. Anyway,
Not alone.
so honestly, we came up with that like really quickly, didn't we? I mean, we have the concept. I wonder if we should kind of so it takes place in Fey territory.
Mhm.
The old Tooth Fairy is going away. She's quote dying. Really, it's just Vince wants another replacement.
The
Oh, I
Tooth
thought this was the Tooth Fairy.
Yeah, that's what I
so
mean.
too.
Yeah, well, maybe it's like maybe Vince is the Tooth Fairy, but he was like in service for eternity, and he didn't want to be. He wants to have like a fall guy instead, so he can escape, and so he organizes this tournament. We could go that route, and that could be the twist at the end.
Yeah, I like that actually. It's,
All right.
again, he wants to be free of this. He's over it. He's trying to lead who he thinks will be the winner behind it. But maybe to a certain end, because again, there's still the Undertaker, who's the last sort of final boss. So
He's our big guy, yeah.
is Vince McMahon the Emperor Palpatine to Undertaker's Darth Vader?
I guess. Yeah. Okay. That makes sense.
To bring this final confrontation. I don't know. That's just my thought.
I think we should have another fight, and I think our second one should be a tag team.
One thing though, because you brought up the possibility of Undertaker, also sort of being Vince's right hand.
Mm-hmm.
What if he's helping Taker as well?
Right. Like he's kind of
What
playing.
if he wants either one of those to win? So he's just helping them, and whichever one
Okay.
he gets stuck with his old job. So he's not necessarily just loyal to Austin. He's also helping Taker.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. And then when they get to that final boss fight, maybe like Stone Cold Steve Austin is about to lose, and then something happens or someone says something, maybe Vince does, that makes them realize, oh, he's been playing both sides. And then maybe they
against Vince McMahon. So the real boss fight is Taker and Austin v. Vince.
Yes.
Okay. And then they kill the Tooth Fairy, and then there's no Tooth Fairy.
The whole system comes burning down.
Yeah. All right. Okay. Oh, we got a dog sighting. Sorry.
Okay, so you said next one needs to be a tag team match.
Yes.
I think I would love to get some like older cheesy wrestlers in there, like Hogan and the Honky Tonk Man. Like
No,
really old school.
we're gonna do
Randy
Hogan.
Savage.
If we're going to do Hogan, we have to bring in Randy Savage.
Okay, Hogan and Randy Savage.
But we have to bring in Randy Savage.
I agree. Yeah.
And he's got to be in with a fucking beef stick with a beef stick.
So are Hogan and Randy Savage on a team, or is one of them working with Steve?
No, they're on the same team.
Okay, so who's in the tag team match with Steve Austin?
Ultimate Warrior.
Yes.
Yeah, I agree. I like that one. All right.
The crazy part is like it doesn't start as a tag team. It starts as Randy Savage, and we said the Randy Savage and Hulk, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. It starts as Randy Savage and Hulk like coming upon of like bad wordage, finding Steve Austin and be like, oh, we're gonna take him, and then like Ultimate Warrior, who's on this like cocaine rage out of nowhere, come burling out of the woods like, and just start fighting Randy Savage and the Hulk along with Steve Austin, like surprisingly help Steve Austin, and they have to like superhero team up together and be like, we're gonna team up and fight these guys. And then
I like coke fueled rage. What if we take that a step further and instead he's just like rabid, like he's fighting with Steve Austin, like he sees at first it's like a three guy, 1 against 2, but then fucking Ultimate Warrior comes like, yeah, and he like kills Hogan.
Juggernaut's out of the woods out of nowhere.
Instead of Hogan and Randy Savage, we need to bring in Road Warriors, Hawk and Animal, because you said coke fueled rage.
Well, maybe that's it. Maybe Ultimate Warrior and Steve
died of a coke OD. But yeah, we need to bring those in just because you said that.
It'll be fun. I want to get some like sabotage in there because I think we have this. Who did we decide this tag team was again? It was Hulk and Randy versus.
It turns into like this Anchorman moment where it's like a 3-way tag team. It starts out with Randy Savage, Hulk Hogan, and then Steve Austin and Ultimate Warrior get this temporary team up, and then out of nowhere, the
Hawk and
Road Warriors. Yep.
Or maybe they just sneak attack both sides and like try to prison shank them.
If I can suggest, let's get butt fucking crazy here, and it turns out maybe into like an all-out tag team war in this one moment. Not just like 3-way, but like 4-way. Like it turns in like the Royal Rumble somehow accidentally gets like centers into this point, and you get all of these tag team partners like Dinkin Doing jumping along with them, the Dudley brothers jumping along with them. Couple of guys,
I enjoy that. I wonder if
combination jump in.
The Steiner brothers.
Okay.
Rude. And then,
if we bring in too many, we're gonna lose track. But
yeah, but this is where like a lot of the guys get like offed and rid of down the line, just like mass death in this one scene to get rid of a bunch of people and cull the herd like halfway.
Oh, okay. So that's our cornucopia then.
Well, and
maybe that should be the first one.
Maybe during the slaughter, Vince appears to Austin and says, "Okay, slip away, just slip away and kill each other."
Just shuffles away.
It's like, well, have fun.
Wow, this went dicks up real fast. Let's just get out of here.
I also want to bring in, since we haven't been before we get into our second object here, since we haven't been to the equal measure in all of our wrestlers here, I want to take a moment we need to bring in someone like China into this.
Thank you.
Onyx, can you back me up on this?
Yes. China definitely needs to come in.
We need to so this is
maybe she's the one that actually comes out on top of that whole slaughter.
Or maybe she's the one that saves Steve Austin.
Maybe, yeah.
Maybe. I still think she needs to be the one that actually just like comes out on top. Like she's the last person standing.
Oh yeah, she's standing on a pile of bodies with like an axe at the end of it.
Yes.
Or a whip.
No, she just does like Lucy Lawless's just little yodeling thing from the Xena. Because I seriously, every time I saw her, she was basically roided Xena.
Just yodelating over a bunch of dead corpses.
What do we just make it extra brutal and give her a chainsaw? She just like, there's like this huge fight, and then she just rushes in and just chops all of them in half.
Yeah. I'm thinking like old school, like Mythic Quest or whatever it was, like the bulging, ripped women. Obviously, like China was, but
yeah. I wish I knew more female wrestlers. I know there's that one that like everybody thirsts over on Twitter, but I can't remember her name.
Becky
maybe. I'm not sure. She's like a bigger lady with short black hair. I can't remember. I think it started with an R. think her name started with an R.
I
Not sure.
remember Trish Stratus.
Okay.
She wasn't much of a wrestler. She was more of a supermodel doing wrestling. It was bad.
Well, yeah, you can only do so much.
There was a couple. I can't remember their names though. I can see their faces and I can't remember their names. I feel so terrible.
One, two.
Right. So I want to get just to kind of get back on track. I think that Royal Rumble thing that we kind of just it started as a tag team and turned into an all-out just like killing frenzy. I think we put that at the beginning, and then have the fight against Dwayne the Rock Johnson come second.
Okay.
I think that would be interesting because, like, if we're gonna have like all of these people die off, we should do that either at the beginning or at the end. And since the end, we want to have a fight with the Undertaker, I would put it at the beginning.
Okay. So to kind of switch that around, I'm thinking. So we do that whole massive onslaught of this tag team, no holds barred match. Steve Austin somehow miraculously comes out of it, but he doesn't know how. Somebody saved his life, but he doesn't know who.
Right. Okay.
He gets into that next fight, which was with Dwayne the Rock Johnson, the baseball machine, and after killing him, comes across China, and he's just like, "Oh!" And then we have this moment of romance inside the story.
Maybe he walks up to her and she's like in the middle of like pulling a two-handed axe out of some guy's face.
Yes.
And he's just like terrified, but that's also like weirdly hot or something.
Strangely turned on.
Why do I feel like this needs to be renamed Stone Cold the Barbarian?
Stone Cold, yeah.
Stonehenge
Now
Steve
I just got
Austin.
this picture of Conan, like a Conan the Barbarian, but with
exactly
Stone
where
Cold
he
holding a
was
sword.
See, I was thinking with Fae Domain, like Stonehenge Steve Austin.
Stonehenge. Yeah, we got to.
Is that the title of the episode or no?
Yes, Stone Age Steve Austin.
Steve the fairy. Well, I guess it's like combining Conan with fairies. So Conan is
right.
Muscle bulging fairy.
Right. We don't need a tooth fairy anymore. We need a tooth barbarian.
That's what comes at the end of this.
Stone Age Steve Austin, the Barbarian.
Love that. All right. So
before we go crazy.
So what happens with China then? Like what because like obviously they have to kill each other. So like you know, they could team up for a while, maybe they don't, like maybe she comes after him with an axe or something.
So no, what if they just decide to partner together?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
They just decide to partner together and take out all the opposition. And, you know, the more, maybe they don't trust each other completely at first, with more of the distrust coming from China's end. But they grow to really get close. And then Taker ends up being the one to murder her, which would also fuel his hatred for Taker.
Okay.
Oh yeah, if we want to do like a cheesy plot like every wrestling show has, then like maybe she at some point dies because they always kill the female character. So maybe she at some point dies and she this poignant moment and like she's in Stone Cold Steve Austin's arms. Looks like, why would you do that? Something like that.
It's like Taker just fucking kills her.
Or so they team up together and they're like, listen, I don't know, like you and me, we're just going to agree to be the last two people down to this competition, and we'll figure out it. And then it's every man for himself, every person for himself at the end. And then as they progress through the competition, they start to fall in love, and then they decide between them to like, you know what, we're going to break the system. We don't need a tooth fairy. We're just going to destroy it all and bring it all down. And there's an attack that happens, and Steve Austin suspects China of being dead. He thinks
there's one major problem with that, which is where's Vince McMahon in that? Because Vince McMahon is trying to get him to win. So why would he want to destroy the system if he's trying to win it still?
That is true.
Well, maybe that's what's not part of his plan. Maybe his
Or
being in love with China is ruining his
maybe
plan.
he wasn't.
To get her back.
So
He's trying to get him back on track, so he kills China to get
Right.
Steve.
Okay. So there's the rivalry is created. The tension is created.
what if, I know we said he was going to be playing both sides with Austin and Taker. What if originally he was loyal to Austin until Austin started catching feelings for China, and then he, sort of like the Violator from Spawn, he tries to talk him out of it, but Austin tells him to go fuck himself. So that's when he decides to say, okay, who else here has just as much potential to be able to win this thing as that Austin? Taker.
Yeah,
So he starts pairing up with Taker, and he orders a hit on China with Taker.
Yes.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Something about the team up between Steve Austin and China is ruining Vince's plans for Steve Austin.
Right. Yeah. It's creating that conflict. Okay.
He needs her out of the picture. Like, it wasn't planned at all. It's starting to deviate from his scheme, so he needs her gone.
And with that out of the way, I think we should figure out what is used to kill China, or whatever we decide to use. Get a new object in here.
What do we got?
Oh,
Belt sander.
a belt sander.
Wow.
This could get real brutal real quick.
And I have a perfect way he delivers it.
Okay.
Like, basically, so say Taker just comes out of nowhere and just ambushes them, and there's a belt sander nearby, or maybe the next Vince arranges the next fight to take place in a place with a belt sander, for the extra brutality.
Mm-hmm.
And so he beats the shit out of Austin, and China tries to defend him, and which then leads Taker to basically tombstoning China face first onto a belt sander.
Oh, that would suck.
And he basically makes fucking Austin watch as he skins this woman's face off.
That would suck to watch, man. But that's great. Like, it's good.
Took my idea.
What was that, Alex?
I said he took my idea.
See, it's funny because that's what I had in my head too, except it was more just like somebody pushing someone else's head up to a belt sander and then it just like getting ripped off.
Just like full on tombstone.
Yeah, okay, that would be good.
And right as her body finally goes limp, he just delivers rest.
Now, here's my thing. I like the concept of somebody getting their face shredded in a tombstone on the fucking belt sander. The issue is, this is only our second object, so we can't skip to the final battle just yet.
No, like, Austin's too beaten down right now.
Okay.
And I think it's a good low point for him, and also a good entry point for the Undertaker as the big baddie, because now at this point he's just lost China, who's his new love, and we have the entry, and we finally get to see who the big bad is in the Undertaker.
And now Austin has motivation to basically bulk himself, get better. So he can
so let me just summarize what we've mentioned so far, just so I make sure I have it straight. So basically, there's a fight between the Undertaker and China and Steve Austin. Steve Austin is about to get beat down. He's about to get killed in this tournament, but China comes to his rescue, sacrifices herself. She gets killed, and he has to run away. Is that, just to summarize, is that where we are?
Yeah.
Austin doesn't run away. Rather, Taker just sort of throws her body at him, and then just sort of runs.
But why wouldn't he kill Steve Austin in that case? Because this is a tournament to the death.
Maybe Vince asks him not to kill Austin yet, because maybe he still sees the potential in him. Because remember, the only reason he was trying to help Taker in the first place was because Austin was with China. So his problem wasn't with Austin, it was with China.
Oh, I see.
So maybe that we see another point where McMahon tries to talk to Austin, be like, no, he just killed your woman. What are you going to do about it, motherfucker?
Yeah, okay, so, yes. Because I was going to say, I don't think we want to fully reveal just yet that Vince is playing both sides of it, because if so, it would kind of defeat the purpose.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, that's what this is something that
know that Vince McMahon is trying to get him killed too. But
yeah, because this would be a final battle.
Yeah. So what if it took like kind of like a Lord of the Rings, Two Towers route where like Steve Austin got knocked out and fell into a river and got washed down the river somewhere while Undertaker was doing whatever and couldn't find him. And so that was his escape.
Right. Okay.
Leading to this culminating battle at this little arena that they finally get to, where Undertaker and Steve Austin come face to face,
one-on-one. Yeah,
and coming to the reveal that Vince is actually playing both sides. So I think that's, I guess, where our next obstacle is
right. And then they turn on Vince and kill.
Yeah, Steve still wants to bring down the system over his love for China, who's now dead. Where Undertaker's like, I'm just in for it to be the Tooth Fairy. Or whatever.
Okay. Yeah, but then at some point, I think it could get revealed, that Steve Austin's like, what, so you mean he's been playing you too? And Undertaker's like, oh, that son of a bitch.
Yeah.
All right.
I think I can object.
All right, yeah, that was a pretty quick use of the belt sander there. We did good with that one.
You kind of quick use out of it.
Well, I hope it's not.
Yes.
Next.
All right, well. I laughed so loud my dog got concerned and she just tried to jump on me. All right, catnip. We're doing catnip. So what happens here? Because like how is that? Do we just add in some different, like maybe someone tries to sabotage him or something, or eat some catnip and it?
I was gonna say this is where the veil starts to get lifted. Steve Austin and Undertaker finally come to this arena, this like 80s style shitty action arena fight where Vince McMahon has put one over on Steve Austin by drugging him with catnip. He's finally given him the slip so that the Undertaker can beat him in this fight, and it's with the use of catnip.
Well, or what if the entire arena is littered with catnip?
Well, yeah, but he ate some bad.
So it's like this Roman Colosseum,
Mines.
and there's like some chained up lions or tigers, and both fighters are like fighting in catnip, putting them in direct line of fire for these.
Bunch of chained up onyxes ready to just pounce on every one of them.
See, I was thinking, because it's being a drug, I was thinking maybe someone tries to sabotage him beforehand. Like someone tries to kill him quietly by trying to drug him. But they think it's poisonous leaves and it's really catnip or something.
Right.
I was thinking maybe the Fae did something to the catnip because you're not supposed to eat anything when you're in Faeland, or something really bad happens to you and you're stuck there.
Oh, okay. All right. Maybe they're getting hungry and somebody tries to convince them to eat in Feyland, and that's a bad idea. Maybe.
Maybe they're like, here's some brownies.
Look at that.
Maybe it's gold dust. Maybe gold dust comes with like a fat bag of catnip. Like, you try some of this shit. Just comes in with it rolled up and
Gold dusted all over top of them.
you don't even have to smoke it, man. Just snort it straight.
These are the coolest fucking brownies ever, man.
I think we got lost in the weeds a little bit there. Lost in the weeds. What was the original plan? Was it tigers?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like a coliseum, basically littered with catnip, and the fighters have to fight, atop a field of catnip where...
Wait, I've got a great idea to build on that. Yes. Okay. Field full of catnip, tigers, right? What if we did actually have Gold Dust try and sabotage him with catnip, but now Steve Austin knows how to recognize catnip, so that to make the battle more interesting, they send a bunch of tigers. Steve Austin can get them to stop attacking him because he knows which plants are catnip.
Ooh, yeah. And you know what? It happened during the big slaughter of tag team people because Gold Dust was among them. And Gold Dust thought he was going to be sneaky because his weapon was the catnip and he had put it in
right
and brown.
So he tries to,
But Steve Austin caught one over and took it and was like, I'm going to save this for later. And it's his off gun for when he gets into the fight. He's like, oh, check it out. I got a catnip brownie.
Yeah, don't attack me. Yeah, okay. Yeah, it could be like a MacGuffin.
Or maybe he just chucks it at Taker, because I'm assuming this is like the final.
Oh yeah, he lures them out and then he chucks it at the Undertaker.
Here, fetch. Here,
but then
catch. He catches it. He's like, what the fuck is it? Oh shit.
Yeah, okay, all right.
He was inside because he had the catnip, and then he all of a sudden can control him.
Wait. I got a better one. He has the bag of catnip. At the end, when they realize that Vince has been playing both of them, they both look at Vince and he throws the catnip at Vince, and Vince gets mauled by tigers.
Or no, Stone Cold hits him with no, okay. So Taker hits him with a tombstone, and then Austin hits him with a stunner just to immobilize him completely.
Right, yeah. And the announcer comes in and
there has to be a trade of finisher moves before the story is over. They have to finisher moves, and it's going to be like a WrestleMania, the final moments, and they're all sitting there like they're both laying on the ground, like who's going to get up first? And then Undertaker out of nowhere is just like,
yeah.
And everyone's like, oh no, Undertaker's going to take it all the way. And he's like moving up on top of Steve Austin. And all of a sudden, Steve Austin puts his shoulder up. There's no pin. We're not doing pins because it's not actually wrestling. But they're fighting, trying to kill each other. Fucking, he gouges his eyes out. I don't fucking know,
Yeah.
Now Steve Austin gets the role. Well, no. Steve Austin doesn't get the role on Undertaker because they finally realize they're both being played.
So they do it it was like Thomas was saying earlier, they do it to Vince. They do this, they do their finisher moves on Vince. The announcer announces it all, and once that's done, Steve Austin pulls out the catnip like, oh, I got the perfect idea for this, And there you go.
Plants it on him while he's immobilized, and then the Tigers just come in and
right. Vince tries to get them to stop attacking him by sending in the tigers, but Steve Austin has this in his back pocket. Okay.
Oh, yeah, dude. That's a good turn of events at the end.
I think that's a wrap. I think that's a good ending. They don't have a tooth fairy anymore.
The fairies afterwards are like, maybe we don't need a tooth fairy.
Yeah. Yeah. Like, why do I need these teeth anyway? What are they good for?
Man, that was kind of shitty. We just watched all these people kill themselves,
over teeth.
Yeah, maybe, yeah. And the entire time, teeth has not been involved. Why do we?
No, it doesn't have to be involved. It doesn't have to be. Or maybe maybe after every wrestler dies, Vince McMahon comes and takes all their teeth.
Teeth, no, teeth is the money of the fairy.
The fairies, right? Okay, yeah. There you go.
Who like
It's currency.
Money, yeah. And so when
And
people
that's
knock out all their teeth and take it.
And that's what Vince McMahon motivates Steve Austin with at first. You're going to be so fucking rich, dude. I think that's a wrap. Do we have a log line? Do we have a log line for it?
The Tooth Fairy, what it's all cracked up to be.
Tooth Fairy isn't all it's cracked up to be.
Leave your teeth under the pillow, and you're gonna no. Fuck, that doesn't work.
It's so funny you said that right as there was like a big crack of thunder.
I said, no, shut the fuck up. That wasn't funny.
I'm trying to think. I want to get a little bit more of the elevator pitch involved in this. So, with the retirement of the Tooth Fairy coming soon, several wrestlers are recruited to fight to the death for the new position of Tooth Fairy. But being the Tooth Fairy isn't all it's cracked up to be. Does that work?
Mortal Kombat meets the Condemned.
Just deflated there.
The title of it must be Stone Age Steve Austin, the Fairy Barbarian. The Tooth Barbarian.
Steve the Barbarian. Steve the Barbarian will probably be the name of this episode.
I think it for SEO it should be Stone Age Steve Austin, but we can make it Stone Age Steve the Barbarian too. We can do that. Who cares?
Stone Age Steve the Barbarian, the Destroyer.
We're getting into isekai title territory. Me and my fellow wrestlers fight to be the Tooth Fairy in another world. As always, we'd like to thank Todd Zach for providing his intro music. You can find information about his music and band below. And we'd like to thank Unveiling Nightmares Press for hosting our show. There's a link in the description where you can find their catalog of books, including the works of your four hosts. Do you guys have any plugs you want to put out there?
Yes, you may find me on Facebook at Thomas Stewart or follow my Corpse Child Sanctuary Facebook page. You may find me on Instagram at CorpseChild2001. You can find me on both TikTok and Slasher at Unholy Corpse Child. All of my books are available on Amazon and on Godless. And of course, you may also choose to visit and join me in the sanctuary at www.corpsechildsanctuary.com, where you can find everything you need to know about me, and visit the Citadel, where you can purchase all of my books. All the ebooks are cheaper than Amazon, and all paperbacks are signed and come with both artwork and a bookmark. And I also have t-shirts now.
Awesome. What about you, Zach? Do you got any plugs?
You can actually find all of my work at my website, zachellenberger.weebly.com. I also have a link tree, Zach.Ellenberger, that has all of my links to it. I will actually be appearing on Desiree Horton's Should I Make My Family Watch podcast.
That's a fun podcast. Yeah.
2 weeks from now, we're going to be talking about Alone in the Dark with Christian Slater. And I got to say, I already did partial one watch through of it, and fuck, it is very bad. And I'm looking forward to it. So please tune into that one. Also, I have a audio short coming out on Audible shortly called Blood Vengeance. You can find it in Savage Realms July 2022 copy. Otherwise, that's everything I got.
Yeah, I was. She made me watch House of the Dead, and that was a lot of fun. You can check that was episode 3 on that podcast. I believe it was a great podcast. Check it out. It's also on the Unveiling Nightmares channel. There's plenty of podcasts available. Onyx, do you have any plugs?
I'm just going to say you can find me in all of my links in my link tree, which is posted here. So all my information is there. Sure.
All my stuff is in my link tree as well. I have my book should have come out by now on August 2nd. I don't know when this is going up. But it's called Fever Dreams. It's a novella. You can find a link to that in my link tree, as well as my other past work. Devil Went Down to Vegas is a webcomic on Webtoon. I'm working on a collaboration with another artist called Culling the Faithful. You can find my award-winning short story on the Arizona Authors Association website. All of my links, all of my socials, all of that, you can find it in my link tree. Lastly, we'd like to thank you, the audience, for listening to the show. Please remember to like and subscribe, hit the bell for notifications. If you have any suggestions for topics, place them in the comments. The weirder, the better, because remember, if you give us your fears, we'll give you a story.
Gonna go insane, you're gonna be disgusted, you're gonna laugh away until your gut is busted, yeah. Better hold on to your brain, better grab your ribs, Dread-Libs.